Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 77 of the Anime Banter podcast with your hosts, Turtle, Mike, and me, Sean. Thank you for joining us today. How are you two doing?
Doing good. Excited to talk about some anime. Excited to hang out with my buds.
I'm doing absolutely fantastic.
Sounds like spirits are high at the Anime Banter podcast right now. You haven't heard Sean give the intro in a little while, but it's because I'll be walking us through our new show, Demon Slayer, the Hashira Training Arc. We're going to be going through that on our show to fill the void that Kaiju number 8 left. And Kaiju number 8 was very good. And we've all seen Demon Slayer up to this point. Maybe you're disappointed we haven't done Demon Slayer. If a Demon Slayer recap is something that the audience wants to hear, let us know on social media. We could do some fun things, like we could list our favorite characters, we could list our favorite moments, we could list things we loved and hated, things like that. So if you want us to cover Demon Slayer, the road so far leading up to the training arc, we could do some discussion around it. But that's not really what we're here to do today. We will be going over the Hashira training arc, but first, there's been a lot of news recently, and we're not really like a news podcast. Yeah, we have to release our episodes the day we record them, and we like to take our time editing them to ensure at least a certain level of quality. But we did want to talk about how some of our favorite anime have been renewed for additional seasons. Most recently, they've announced the renewal of Frieren.
Woo!
Aw, yeah.
Give me back my show.
I was going to say, Sean, you sent me that news when I was at a wedding, and I was like, hell yeah, let's go. Like, I was so excited.
Yeah, and actually, I think my brother sent it to me first. So I was really happy that he sent that to me. And they did confirm that Madhouse is doing it again.
Yes.
Which, that was super exciting.
That's
Because I
clutch.
know when we were watching it, one of our big fears was that they were going to get some other company to do season 2 just because of how popular season 1 was.
Yeah. Sometimes, sometimes these animation studios just don't want to do another one. I think Madhouse again was people reference One Punch Man all the time in a drop off of quality, where season 1 was incredible. And season 2, it wasn't bad as far as anime is concerned, honestly. I thought One Punch Man season 2 was at the very least as good, if not better, than like Solo Leveling. Um, but at the same time, you know, it's so jarring sometimes to see a change in studio. So I'm really happy to see them returning. I'm not sure if it's gonna be the same director or not, and I want to see if Evan Call is doing the music again. So I would love to see everyone return, and the voice actors too. It really be special.
Oh yeah. I'm ready for more free run anything. Spin-offs, season 2, movie. I don't care. Give it to me.
You need more merch too. I feel like there's not enough free run merch out there.
I would agree.
We need more. In addition to that, though, we also heard very recently that slime. That that time I was reincarnated as a slime. Is that the full title? I
Yes.
just always call it slime to my friends.
Right. Yeah, me too.
The time I was reincarnated as a slime. Just got a new season announced and possibly a movie, but at least a new season. But I haven't finished this season, but I'm just happy that I can watch this season knowing another one is on the way.
Absolutely. As everyone knows, we did a Rule of 3 episode with Mike and I on Slime. And I'm still watching through season 3 in English. But yes, very, very excited to hear another season announced for that. And I'd take another movie. The first one was really good.
And if you want to watch that one, it was what, episode 75 of the Anime Banter podcast for the Rule of Three. That time I got
Yes.
reincarnated as a slime. So yeah, very recent episode. If you skipped that one just because you're following My Hero Academia and Kaiju number 8, Might be beneficial to just hop back a couple episodes and see what you missed in the slime one, because if you don't know what it's about, probably a good introduction. I wasn't there, and that's why I'm doing the talking now. Give my co-hosts a break. Hey, and talk about renewals. If you follow my other podcast, the Deittman Files, we are returning. Uh,
Woo!
by the time you hear this episode, our most recent episode, it's funny. We cut season 2 in the middle. We did our mid-season finale, and we were supposed to continue, but there were a number of things surrounding some of the cast, that kind of just some personal things that people had to take a hiatus. But yeah, all the writers and cast are returning to our podcast as well, the Deittman Files, and you can find us wherever you listen to podcasts. Unless you're listening on YouTube, don't go there. It's not there.
Welcome back.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I will be reprising my role as JB slash Freddy. Uh, so yeah. Um, so lots of good news, lots of renewals. I love seeing, things kind of continuing to gain momentum. I love seeing, like, there's nothing worse, right? You go to Netflix these days and you see a new show that looks really interesting, and you realize that if it doesn't hit it as big as like One Piece or Stranger Things, that they're just gonna cancel it.
I
Yeah.
mean, how many times do you like a show will drop and like less than a week they're like, "Oh yeah, it's canceled."
We didn't
What?
even finish the first run. No, you're canceled.
Yeah, and Netflix never gave them any exposure. You know what I mean? So like they just shadow drop these shows and movies, and like I go in and I'm like, oh, what's this? And I'd be like, oh, that's really cool. I haven't heard about it until right now. How have they not like advertised their own things?
You know what that kind of reminds me of? Anybody remember Firefly?
Yeah.
Oh, don't remind me of
Yeah, I was gonna say Mike's gonna give us an anime ranter right here. Yeah, on the treatment of
I'm gonna
Firefly.
I've
What
already
was
ranted
it
on
Fox?
about yeah, oh yes. Yeah, it was Fox being dickheads.
Yeah, so they played the episodes out of order
Yeah.
and didn't advertise, and then they canceled the show. I'm like, well, if you want the show to succeed, you kind of have to play the episodes in order so the audience can follow along and have things make sense. And you want to tell people you got a show.
It's bizarre when it seems like people sabotage their own product.
Yes.
I'm like, you put all this time and energy into it. There's money in here, and you actively choose to sabotage it. It makes no sense.
It does not. It was a good show, and Fox just blew it.
I don't know, but this one's gonna be possibly be a long one for you listeners, so we're gonna dive in here. Today we're talking about episode 1 of the Hashira Training Arc of Demon Slayer, and episode 151 of My Hero Academia. Demon Slayer Hashira Training Arc, episode 1, to defeat Muzan Kibutsuji. And apologies ahead of time. If I butcher any of the names, please forgive me. I'm not a native Japanese speaker, and some of these names, I took the names off of off the internet, and I can't imagine they actually say these characters' full names very often. So, at the very least, you get to laugh about me mispronouncing everything. So, enjoy. Oh, also, good gosh, this episode was 40 something minutes long. It's like two episodes in one. When I sat down to take my notes, I was like, yeah, I'll take a few minutes and do this. And then I'm doing this, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's a long episode.
3
Uh,
hours later.
yeah, that's pretty much how it was after I took my notes almost. But that's okay. Our episode begins with Serpent Hashira, Obanai Iguro, and Wind Hashira, Sanami Shinazagawa. Shinazagawa. Yeah, it's gonna be a struggle. And, and two nameless demon slayers surveying an abandoned castle from the Restoration period. A person from the nearby village was brought here, the second woman in 24 hours. The Slayers look down the cliff and see a demon carrying a woman to the castle. The demon Slayers then enter the castle and are greeted by a small army of demons. It's a really good showcase of the abilities of two Hashira we aren't really familiar with, Serpent and Wind. I'm not gonna like describe all their techniques, but man, we gotta talk about UFO Table and how I've heard a lot of people say the Demon Slayer has like a pretty good story. It doesn't do anything too crazy. It's a pretty safe story. It's a classic story, but it's executed well. In the manga, the art is not really that fantastic, but gosh, UFO Table just elevates this anime so hard, and I love that. They just make every single action sequence look like a work of art, which I guess it is because it's drawn pictures. But either way, the two nameless demon slayers are told to retreat as they'll be a hindrance. The Hashira believe that there's something unusual going on here, as demons don't usually hang out in big groups like this. We get another showcase of power from the Hashira, who eliminate even more demons. They chase the demon carrying the woman, while dispatching more low level demons along the way. They finally catch up on the roof of the castle, where they, once again, dispatch a number of weak demons with ease. The cornered demon throws his hostage, who is caught by the serpent Hashira. The two follow the demon and jump over the edge of the roof. And when they jump over the edge of the roof, they expect to see this ruined castle. However, the setting now looks like the painting called Relativity by M.C. Escher. It's the one with a bunch of stairs and doors all going in a bunch of nonsensical directions. If you don't know what I'm talking about, just look up the painting Relativity and you'll be like, oh yeah, I've seen that before. Everyone's seen that before. Take that piece of art, apply like a Japanese demon village twist, and that's what you get. It's a really nice visual. The Hashira see the demon that they were chasing, and as they're about to slash him, a door closes right in front of them, and the village disappears entirely, leaving only the worn down castle. The Hashira are puzzled by this as we enter the final season of Demon Slayer.
Oh, it's not technically the. I don't think it was the final season.
Oh, I think there's just going to be two movies, right?
Oh,
Two or
that's
three
right.
movies.
That is. I think you're right. Yeah, they are going movies from here on out, I believe.
Oh, okay.
Well, they'll
Yeah.
probably do
So
the movies, and then they'll probably like turn like two or three movies into like a 13 episode series or something, just to milk the cash cow.
That's possible.
they would never do such a thing like that.
And I mean, this first episode, I feel like the production is that of a movie. Like it's really good looking.
I loved the disappearing like demon hideout bit because it's like we always see this place, but we're like, where the hell is it located? So it was a nice little like fan service moment of like it's located anywhere and everywhere at the same time.
I also laughed out loud when I was watching this with the snake or serpent Hashira, because like all these other Hashiras like we've met so far, most of them are based on like elements, nature, fire breathing, water breathing, wind breathing, and then serpent breathing. It just made me laugh. I'm like, what the hell is that?
I also got a kick out of a serpent Hashira. It's like it's a weird pick. Like at least it's like okay, love. It's like okay, well you can sort of be like yeah, it's the heart from Captain Planet. It's like okay, yeah, I get it.
Maki!
But like serpent, it's like what? What?
Fifth serpent breathing technique. I'm like, what does that mean? It's been a while since I watched this show at the previous season, so I kind of forgot. And as I'm watching, I'm like, wind breathing. Okay, yeah. Serpent breathing. What?
The opening credits are played in front of a relaxing scene of Kanao Suyuri returning to the butterfly headquarters. I don't know what else to call it. I'm just calling it like the butterfly headquarters, or I don't know, butterfly building or whatever. She checks in with Insect Hashira Shinobu Kocho, who gives us a recap to bridge the seasons. They do fit these in pretty well between the insect Hashira and Tanjiro, kind of like giving you a quick catch up, reminding you what happened last season if you're like me and haven't watched a single episode of it since you watched it the first time. Uh, but anyway, Kocha says an emergency Hashira meeting has been called. Kanao is asked to take care of Nezuko while the Hashira are gone. We then go to Tanjiro, who is speaking with a staff member who continues the recap. I think the staff member has a name. I could not remember what it was. I'm just writing him as the staff member.
That's fair.
Um, with the recap, is there anything from the recap that you guys want to mention or call out before we move on?
No, I think they did another like good job. Like, and throughout this entire episode, like at times it feels slow, but then it's like, okay, well, it's been how long since the last arc came out? Like, there's a lot to recap from the last time it was out, and it's been how many months since viewers have watched. Like me personally, I just watched the last arc not like a month or a couple months ago, so it's relatively fresh for me.
See, I'm like the opposite, where like I've not watched in a really long time, and I didn't find any moments feel slow to me. I thought the pacing for this was excellent. They did a great job with the flashback for reminders, and just the pacing for this, for me at least, I was entertained the entire time. I was very excited.
All of the Hashira trickle into the meeting of Hashira. Each one says a few things to get us engaged on the personalities and how they interact with each other. I'm not really going to go over that in too much detail. If you guys want to elaborate like some funny interactions, you can, but I'm not really, for the sake of our listeners and not having them be here for 2 hours, I'm not going to go too heavy into it. Amane Ubuyashiki appears to tell us why there's a Hashira meeting. Kagaya will never appear before the Hashira again. She then bows to them. They bow back. She thanks them and informs them that Muzan is on the move now that Nezuko has conquered the sun. She then explains that Love Hashira Mitsuri Kanroji and Mist Hashira Muichiro Tokito have brought hope. They have a unique looking mark that appeared on the two of them during their battle last season. During the Sengoku period, the original breath users had a mark similar to demonic patterns. The mark seems shrouded in mystery and not vital enough to preserve. They show Tanjiro's forehead as a manifestation of the mark when they were like going through like samples of it. When one mark appears, others may also manifest marks as well, showing a resonance and synergy. Tanjiro is confirmed the first person with a mark in a very, very long time. But now we've seen two Hashira with the marks. The love Hashira says her body felt light and her limbs went bam and her heart went pow and other descriptions with, no real insight as to why it
I
happened.
lost it at that when she was explaining, like, huh, let me think. It went bam, and then it went pow, and she's like doing all these poses and stuff. I was losing it at that.
I think she's my favorite character in this show now.
She's definitely up there for me.
Very, very funny, and just she's just enjoyable to watch when she's on the screen. She's so positive and happy, and I love it.
She, of like the current Hashira, she may have more personality than all of them combined, pretty much.
I would agree. Yes.
Of the current ones, yes, for sure.
Yeah, rest in peace, Rengoku.
Yeah,
Yeah, he was
and
a good one
T-
too. I was
Tengen
actually really
Tengen
sad.
Tengen also had quite
Yeah.
a good bit of charisma to him.
Indeed, he did.
Yeah, but we're gonna get one of the things about that though is we may change our mind by the end of the season. It's something we should revisit how we feel about the Hashira at the end of the season because after all, it's the Hashira training arc, and as we go through these episodes, we're gonna see that Tanjiro is gonna get time with each Hashira. We're gonna get to know them, and Tanjiro is gonna get to know them, and yeah, that's just how the season's gonna go. So hopefully, we get a better feeling about what they're like, what their motives are, how they got here. Mist Hashira remembers uh, the conditions to get it going, and he's going to explain. He was poisoned, and he was able to slow the poison with his breathing technique. He lost control of his emotions and believed his heart rate was over 200 beats per minute, and his body felt like it was on fire. And he said he must have had a fever of at least 102 degrees because that's what he had. When he had a fever previously, that was 102.
I
He's like,
thought
yeah,
that
I felt
reasoning
hot like that.
when he did that reasoning, I'm like, that's like very oddly specific. It's like, okay, we need to explain this plot point. Ah, yes, I had a fever of 102 degrees. I knew it because that's what the thermometer said, and that's how I felt during this. It's like, okay, I guess.
He's an interesting guy. I mean, we got a lot of we got to know him a lot due to the last season, and like as I'm watching, I'm like, okay, I remember this guy now. It's coming back to me, and he's a little dry. So
Yes.
I also enjoyed his reasoning for this. It was kind of funny.
The top priority moving forward is to unlock the marks. But there's one last thing. All who manifest a mark eventually, without exception, dot dot dot, then we shift scenes.
I hated that.
Why tease us like that? They don't even say, like, they straight up. I don't think they say it the rest of the episode, do they?
No, they leave that and ooh suspense. F you guys. What are you talking about? Don't cut away.
And I've got some theories, right? Like it means that if you manifest a mark, you will die. Does it burn through your life force? If you manifest a mark, will you turn into a demon because it reminds you of demon, signs? As we could see, if we look at the flashback when they talk about the guys from the Sengoku period, there's the one guy they keep teasing to us, right? It's the guy the doll was made after. It's the number one demon in Muzan's army, and they showed him he's one of the original breathing technique guys. It's the guy with the red hair. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, that sort of looks like Tanjiro.
Yeah, he looks like he could be like Tanjiro could be his descendant. And honestly, there's
Yes.
a good chance he is.
That's kind of what I just assumed.
Yeah, like his father had that technique passed down through the generations of the fire breathing, right? And, you might say like, yeah, Sean, no crap. Like they obviously set this up for us, and I'm like, well, it's good storytelling because we're able to figure out and speculate about it. So kudos to the author for putting something kind of crazy in there like that. But anyway, so at the end of this, when they tease it, Water Hashira Gyu Tomioka walks away. He doesn't think he's like the rest of them. He goes to walk away, but the other Hashira try to get him to sit back down. I actually thought they did get him to sit back down, but later they show he walked away anyway. But Stone Hashira, Gyome Himajima, has a plan. We're going to shift back to Tanjiro, eating some food in the recovery bed. Nezuko is learning speech little by little. We cut to Zenitsu, who just returned from his mission. Apparently, while Tanjiro has been knocked out, they've still been sending Zenitsu out on missions. He expresses how he gained courage on his mission by realizing how sad all the girls would be if he died. And all four girls he talks to said, not really. So, yeah, well, classic Zenitsu getting dunked on. Uh, Nezuko appears. She looks at Zenitsu and says, "Welcome home," 2 times in a row. Zenitsu flips. He goes crazy. And he's super excited and he expresses how he and Nezuko are going to get married. She then says, "Welcome home, Inosuke," shattering Zenitsu's heart into a million pieces. And then he decides he must kill Inosuke. A perfectly reasonable reaction. They show a flashback of Inosuke trying to teach her his name so she would know it. So
The
totally innocent.
flashback, fantastic. He's like, Inosuke, and she's like, Inosuke, 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 Big Boss Inosuke, Big Boss Inosuke.
But she did get it. She got it
She
finally.
did.
Yeah, I love the flashback. Everything about this was just very funny to me.
Hotaro Haganazuka enters the scene. He hands Tanjiro a sword. It was Rengoku. It has Rengoku's sword guard on it, which is kind of a nice touch. Revenge for Rengoku. Avenge him, Tanjiro. Uh,
Avenge.
Haganazuka appears to not be in good shape. Tanjiro looks at the blade. It's an even deeper shade of black, and it has the character for destroy on it. The craftsman didn't even put his own name on it. It's like a prayer to destroy all demons. Haganazuka gives Tanjiro a tongue lashing on sword maintenance
I
and
love
then
how
leaves.
Haganeska's like Tanjiro's like, oh, that wasn't there before, and Haganeska's like, yeah, because you took the blade before I was done working on it, you stupid brat.
Yeah, he doesn't look like he should be working on swords or even like standing. He was struggling to walk. Could you call that walking? Almost stumbling back home. He needs to rest.
He did take a beating at the end of last season, after all.
He
That
did.
is that is for sure. But apparently, this entire time that Tanjiro has been in the bed and talking to the staff member and all these visitors, Genya Shinazugawa, Genya Shinazugawa has been in the bed next to Tanjiro this entire time, which made me laugh, actually. Because Tanjiro keeps getting these visitors, and poor Genya just wants to rest. But suddenly, Inosuke breaks through the window, shattering glass and getting glass embedded in his boar mask. Uh, yeah, no rest for Genya. Inosuke says that the strongest are gathering to train their hardest. We flash back to the Stone Hashira's plan. In 3 days, training will begin. They're going to train the entire corps at once for the upcoming battle. They're also going to ask retired Hashira to help. Now they need to convince the Water Hashira that it's a good idea.
I think it's a great idea. I mean, a lot of these new recruits and nameless characters we've seen in previous seasons usually don't make it out of these seasons okay. A lot of them get killed off. So we definitely need some training going on.
They're going to train under every Hashira, one by one. The whole corps. Zenitsu tells Tanjiro that it's a form of torture. Tanjiro calls it an honor and a privilege. Classic good boy Tanjiro right there. Zenitsu bites Tanjiro out of anger and goes to walk away. Tanjiro thanks Zenitsu for teaching him the lightning breathing technique, and he said it saved his life during the last arc. Zenitsu takes the flattery well, and all of a sudden he's not angry anymore at Tanjiro.
I love how whenever Zenitsu turns back around to, like with the flattery, there's teeth marks on Tanjiro's forehead from where he was bitten repeatedly.
I swear I was actively looking for that to see if they put the detail in there. And they did. I loved it.
Yeah, good catch, guys. I didn't notice that. But after the silliness, it's time for training. We see now retired Sound Hashira Tengen Uzui yelling at the recruits to run. All of his wives are present, which is fun. They're going to make rice balls for the trainees. Tengen is in charge of stamina training, and he runs down what each Hashira's training is going to be. Mist Hashira, rapid movement training. Love Hashira, flexibility training from hell. Serpent Hashira, sword skill overhaul. Wind Hashira, infinite slashing training. Stone Hashira, muscle amplification training. They flash to all of the Hashira pretty much torturing all of the nameless trainees. It's a good scene, if not a little comical.
Sean, I think you would agree with this assessment, but this is like wrestling booking 101 right here. You show all the jobber demon slayers just failing at the training, just not even warming up the Hashira to get their blood boiling for the mark to take place. And you know what's going to happen over the next couple episodes? Tanjiro's going to come in and he's going to get the John Cena treatment and power up all the Hashira while powering himself up in the process.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right.
You got to beat down the jobbers, so send in the main eventer, beat down the jobbers, have them fight like 5 or 6 at a time, and you like, bam, look, Look how cool and powerful this guy is.
These nameless demon slayers only exist so they can show us how much better Tanjiro is than them.
Yep, pretty
And
much.
that's it. Like in wrestling, like you said, that's what the jobber's goal is. The jobber loses a match only to show how much better the other wrestler is than them.
Now I believe they call them enhancement talent. But back in the 80s, 90s, they were jobbers, but they enhanced the talent to make them look better.
We still call them jobbers.
Yes. Or as The Rock likes to call them, jabronis.
Way to spoil the rest of the season. I had no idea that was going to happen.
Yeah, I was to say, yeah, we all thought Tanjiro actually was gonna kind of fall off. You know what I mean? Like he's already hit his peak. You know, I figured a few of these NPCs would pass him by. Yeah.
I was definitely expecting Inosuke to become the next main character here. Tanjiro's going to be in the hospital bed for the rest of the show.
Speaking of Tanjiro being in a hospital bed, he's in that room and he notices a crow trying to get into the window. He opens the window and the crow immediately pecks Tanjiro in the forehead. The master sent a letter to Tanjiro. It's about how the water Hashira isn't taking part in the training. We cut to the master himself. He thanks his wife for everything she's done. It's a touching scene between a husband and wife who know their time on this earth is quite limited.
I love how the crow's like, Tanjiro, I have this letter. You must read it immediately. You're Tanjiro, right? Read it immediately. It's like, yeah, this is Tanjiro. Okay, we'll read it. Like, and then I sort of understand the whole not having the water Hashira because we just had water Hashira in the last arc for so much of it, so I sort of get it. But the water Hashira is going to make a face turn at some point and join in on this training regimen.
I gotta say, I honestly think it's really weird that he just sort of like left.
We'll have to watch the next episode to hear his rationale, probably.
I hope to find out because I mean, like, their goal is obviously to destroy all the demons. So why is he not interested in a way to better achieve that goal?
We cut our way over to Tamayo. She's also visited by a crow. The crow says he comes in peace. His voice was a little jarring to me.
Yes, it's this like very large and deep voice, and I'm like, it's coming out of a bird, man.
Like some of the other crows, they sound like they mix like words and bird sounds, kind of. You know what I mean? Like the way parrots talk, kind of.
Yeah,
So like they sound like they're squawking but saying words at the same time. This crow was just had like a deep voice. Like it was so bizarre to me. But he says that he'd like her to collaborate with the insect Hashira to combine their knowledge of demon physiology. And she is thrown for a loop because she realizes that she is a demon who has just been summoned to the Demon Slayer Corps headquarters.
What's the worst that can happen?
uh-oh. Don't ask those questions.
Roll the end credits. What'd you guys think about this episode?
Loved it. They did a good job recapping the previous arc. They did a great job setting the table for what's to come over the next 7 episodes. Yeah, I think it was the perfect premiere for a season.
I would agree. I would give this episode a 10 out of 10. The animation's great. The character designs are awesome as always. I felt the pacing was really good. We get some, we get flashback, we get some action sequences, we get some discussion, but it's all paced in such a way where like I was never bored. And that ending, also had me on the edge of my seat there. So yeah, I'm very excited to keep watching more.
Sean, it sounds like you might be thirsty
Oh, you know it.
after talking for so long about Demon Slayer. And you know what they say, alcohol is the best medicine. And that means it's time for Mike's Beer of the Week. This week's beer comes to you from Big Oyster Brewing, and it is their Meg Hazy, aka their Mega Hazy. And it has a shark, a megalodon, on the label. It is an 8% hazy double IPA brewed with Galaxy, Citra, Mosaic, and lotus hops, then fermented with cosmic punch yeast. You get nice notes of tropical fruits, peach, citrus, and some pine. Big Oyster is located in Lewes, Delaware. Never heard of Lewes or Lewes, and I've never heard of this brewery, but gotta say, big fan of the brewery. Uh, Hopefully find some more of this stuff from the brewery. Seems like a very small town, like a beach town, so who knows the odds of finding more of it without going to Delaware or somewhere close by. But the untapped average rating is a 3.88, and I give it a 3.75. Now that our thirst has been quenched, let's shift gears to talk about My Hero Academia Season 7. My Hero Academia 151. A chain of events across the ages. This episode got off to a really weird start, in my opinion. Like, we had Deku recapping where all the villains were sent and how the fights have gone on up to this point before the credits. After the opening credits, we see him on his way to the coffin in the sky talking to the first wielder. And what's weird is the last episode ended with Deku getting there, kicking Shigaraki in the face. So it's like, what's going on here? We learn that Deku got to the coffin in the sky so much faster because of Star's friends giving him a lift. We also get another look at Lemillion's Peach.
Nah. Yeah, see, they had to do this ridiculously long recap because they're so bad at trying to tell their story and jumping around, nobody can remember what the F is happening.
Peach.
And the peach, yes, it was funny. Still funny the second time around. Lemillion's awesome.
We learn that Deku's kick was able to break some of the fingers off of Shigaraki's face. The heroes put the barrier back up now that Deku has arrived. Deku apologizes that it took him so long to get there, and when he goes to ask if everyone is alright, he sees the carnage that Shigaraki has rained down on the heroes. I love how we got like a good 30 seconds of the show just being absolutely silent so Deku could take on all of the carnage. Shigaraki begins to taunt Deku about Bakugo.
Rightfully so.
Sean's hatred for Bakugo returns.
Nah, I'm just really I played it up for no reason. Yeah, it's a good tactic though. He wants Deku to crash out.
Which, I mean, we were kind of getting that. And I do have to say, when the animation for this show is good, it is really good. Deku looks awesome here.
Deku begins to rage as we see Black Whip emerge, as well as Smokescreen, and his eyes begin to light up. It's a really awesome visual. We learn that Shigaraki wants him to get mad, because when Deku is mad, Deku is predictable. Lemillion attempts to calm Deku down by saying everyone is okay and still breathing, and that Edgeshot is trying to save Bakugo. Shigaraki calls Lemillion's speech delusional.
Don't you be hating on my boy Lemillion.
Man, could you guys just like imagine if they had given Lemillion One for All, how good he would have been?
Oh.
Just think how much bigger he would have made his Peach. Detroit Peach Smash! We see the fifth wielder telling Deku he needs incredible control not only over his body, but of over his emotions as well. That he must keep tabs on his heart. Deku calms down, thanking Lemillion. Deku then goes Super Saiyan as we see the ghost of previous wielders behind him. Shigaraki says he is no longer Shigaraki, but a meld of Shigaraki and All For One, with All For One leading the charge, as we see a scared young Shigaraki being held down. Lemillion recaps how he doesn't think that Shigaraki is two people melded together, and he recaps how Shigaraki freaked out about having plenty of friends. Shigaraki's grandmother, the seventh wielder, appears and says that her grandson is still in there somewhere. Shigaraki charges at Deku. Deku binds him with black chain. I love the combo of multiple wielders' powers here. The second wielder then appears and says Deku has 5 minutes to end this, or the world will end.
Whoa, that's dramatic.
This reminds me of all the other shonen anime like Dragon Ball Z, where I'm like, is 5 minutes gonna last like 6 episodes?
Oh no, maybe 30. It'd be like on Namek all over again.
Yeah, but like you're watching this and you're like, there's no way that Deku's gonna like win this in 5 minutes. So there's gonna be some shenanigans happening here.
You're probably right, just due to the shonen rules, but I hope you're wrong. I would like to see him just decimate Shigaraki and be done with it. But I'm sure it will be dragged out.
Yeah, the fact that we still have another season of this show, um, you're like, I see he will not be defeating both villains before the end of this season.
Yeah.
Deku breaks the sound barrier as he channels Gear Shift. These visuals are fantastic. The first wielder is seen talking to his brother, saying, "Let's end this right now."
Yeah, they stepped up the animation big.
They did. I know I've kind of been hating on this show for this season, and to be honest, I have not liked it, but it's starting to flip here, and I gotta say I don't hate this one, and I really like the visuals. The animation's really good.
We see a flashback of All for One choking the life out of the second wielder and how insignificant the second wielder's quirk was. In the White Void, All for One says that the second wielder wasn't worth his time then, but wonders why he can see him now. Back in the present day, Shigaraki goes flying into the ground as Deku is glowing blue in the sky. We learn how the second wielder's quirk has been enhanced over the years. Deku hits Shigaraki with a Detroit Smash quintuple. Shigaraki thinks he can predict Deku's movements, but he is sorely mistaken. Deku uses all of the One for All quirks to lay the smackdown on Shigaraki. The visuals during this were absolutely top notch and deserve to be praised.
It's true. It looks really darn good.
Yes, it does. Yeah, happy. I'm glad we're getting, the real heavyweight showdown here instead of we talked about the jobbers and the jabronis, right? That's everyone who isn't Deku on the hero team, pretty much.
Yeah.
Like honestly, even like it's like Endeavor and Hawks. I'm like those guys are jobbers. Like
I mean, I was kind of interested in that until they, cut away and didn't really resolve that. But no, I mean, Deku's the whole reason this show exists. So of course, we're gonna put focus on him.
In the White Void, we see Deku has punched a hole into Shigaraki's chest. The first wielder can see his brother in the hole. The wielders say it is time to decide Shigaraki's fate, whether it be to kill him or save him. We get a young Deku saying, "He wants to save that kid." Shigaraki says he hasn't used any of his quirks and that it's everyone else's fault. Shigaraki's chest begins to expand as we hear All for One saying victory is still within his reach, as we see Spinner frothing at the mouth to end the episode.
Does anybody else not care about Spinner, or is it just me?
And he's it's sort of hard to care about Spinner because we always see Spinner, but we never actually see Spinner, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I get that, and I don't know. I really hate Giant Spinner. I don't like this form, and him frothing at the mouth was like it did absolutely nothing for me. I don't care about Spinner. I do not care about him at all. I don't want to see what's happening in his neck of the woods. I just don't care.
yeah, see, this is a problem that shows do a lot. I almost wish Deku hadn't arrived this episode because there's gonna be we talk about what's the term here? Not power creep, but like scope creep or something. Where like, okay, we talk about like let's talk about the MCU, right? Like how like it starts with like we have Iron Man story, right? Where like, oh no, the stakes are just like Iron Man becoming a better guy and dealing with a threat of someone trying to take over his company and steal his technology. And then like you end with Endgame where like they're saving the universe, right? Um so like there's like the scope, right, of like small local micro problems that affect even just one person sometimes to like affecting the entire world or the universe or something. But when you watch this and you watch Deku, the classic one for all versus all for one type of fight here, and we like swing back around to freaking Spinner, who gives a crap? Like, so I almost wish Deku hadn't arrived here because now that's all I care about. And next episode, was it they mentioned the name of the episode, but Deku's not going to be in the episode. Sure, but it's going to be like all Spinner and I can't remember the guy's name. But either way, I'm like, yeah, like next episode for me. I'm not saying it's filler, but I'm just like, they showed us, they teased us with this incredible action, and now they're gonna yank it away.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not thrilled about Spinner.
Besides Spinner, what did the two of you think of this episode?
Yeah, I liked it. The hero arrived. You're watching like Dragon Ball Z, and like Goku finally arrives after like training for 30 episodes, and like everyone pretty much being dead from of all his friends. That's what this is. Like Goku has arrived. Um, so but usually whenever Goku arrives, the next episode is also Goku fighting the same enemy. Instead, it's not going to be that. They're not going to continue this incredible momentum that had me really hyped. But like I said, let's get away from Spinner, right? Um, good episode. I'm hyped. Give me more, please.
I wouldn't go so far as to say that I am hyped. However, I did like this episode, especially compared to the other ones. Um, this is what I've been waiting for. I've been waiting for Deku to show up, be awesome, and kick some ass. And we finally got that. Only for them to pull the rug out from under us and cut away to Spinner, who doesn't matter. So, but yeah, I mean, as a standalone episode, I thought it was really good compared to the other ones. And I want to see more of this fight at least, but I'm sure we won't get that for a while.
Yeah, I agree. This is probably one of my favorite episodes of this season. Um, it was great to finally see Deku and Shigaraki clash, and it was cool to see Deku like really finally getting a grasp of all of the quirks for One for All. So that was really cool. I don't know how next episode will go with it being what appears to be a Spinner focused episode, and it's in the preview it shows Animal Talker and Forearm Dude. I forget both their names as like the heroes we're focusing on. So it's gonna be a weird episode. I feel like because even when we've gotten looks at the minor characters, we don't really get looks at them. But fingers crossed we get a good episode. And now it is time for the waifu of the week. Turtle, who's your waifu?
This week, my waifu, believe it or not, is Deku. Um, the whole time we were watching Kaiju number 8, I think there was maybe only one other time that I picked somebody from My Hero Academia. And I really, really, really enjoyed the first episode of Demon Slayer, the Hashira Training Arc. But I gotta go with Deku because, this whole show has been building to him being the number one hero and being awesome. And this is really the first time that we're seeing him use all of his quirks, which I don't think we've really seen his other quirks up to this point, besides like Black Whip, used. So like we got new powers revealed. He's using them all together, and it was just really great visuals. Deku being awesome. It's something I really wanted to see. And yeah, so for my waifu of the week, I'm choosing Deku, and I'm going to throw out an honorable mention to Inosuke because I've never laughed so hard about someone jumping through a window.
Sean, who's your waifu?
I grabbed the low-hanging fruit here. It's just very obvious. Goku, I mean, Deku is here to save everyone. So, our good boy shonen protagonist is here. He's gonna kick some butt, maybe. And, looking forward to seeing, how that fight kind of unfolds here in the coming, days and weeks and months. So, go Deku, yay.
I'm also gonna go Deku, but I'm going with a twist. I'm actually gonna go say One for All, because we got to see all of the quirks play out from the previous wielders. It was really cool to see them combined. So yes, it's Deku, but really the quirk is what did all the cool stuff. So I'm gonna change it up and say One for All, just to be a little different. Thank you all for joining us this week as we watch Demon Slayer and My Hero Academia. We hope you join us next week for episode 78 of the Anime Banter podcast, where we will continue our watch of My Hero Academia Season 7 and the Hashira Training Arc of Demon Slayer. Please give us a 5-star review on all platforms that allow reviews. If you are listening on YouTube, please like the video, hit the notification bell, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment. The Anime Banter podcast can be found on Facebook, X, Instagram, Threads, and YouTube. Thank you all for joining, and we will talk to you next week.